Hello, everyone. Welcome to Game Changers, the future of play, where we explore AI, gaming, and the business of play. I'm Tony Callahan here with my podcast team, Stephanie Ventura and Sarah Ramos. Today, we are joined by a very special guest, Sutton Trout, who is a leader in strategic partnerships and growth and has worked with companies like Supercell, Sony, and Warner Brother Games in his career. With over 20 years in the gaming entertainment industry, Sutton has helped drive monetization, user acquisition, go-to-market strategy, and long-term growth across some of the most recognized brands in gaming. His work spans partnerships, lifecycle management, and building teams that can scale innovation and revenue in a rapidly evolving industry. Sutton, thank you so much for joining us today. We are going to dive into how you approach growth in gaming, how teams can scale effectively, and what you're seeing as the biggest opportunities in the industry today. Thank you so much for coming.
Thanks, Tony. It's nice to be here.
Yeah. So, you've had a really great career across all these big companies like Supercell, Sony, and Warner Brother Games. What initially brought you into the gaming industry?
That's a great question. I'm an artist. I went to art school. My grandfather was an animator for Disney. He was like the, I don't know, 30th animator they hired back in the 30s. So I've always had entertainment and sort of art in my life. In art school, I didn't know what I was going to do when I got out of college. I was like, what? I don't know what I'm going to do with this degree I have. I moved to California from Maine, and I had a friend working at Sega, and that friend was like she was in something I'd never heard of in creative services. I was like, what's creative services? Which creative services, at least back then, was the supporting the art support for marketing. So they were doing all the packaging and ads and all this kind of stuff. I'm like, wow, that is freaking cool. How do I do that? So it took me about, I don't know, a year and a half to get myself into Sega. At one point, I actually dressed up as Sonic the Hedgehog at one of their parties or something because I was like, hey, I'll do anything to get in here.
Oh man.
And then I got hired at Sega, and that was the start. And I always really liked games as a kid, um, because of the creativity and the scale and the interaction. I just always really enjoyed all the aspects of the games, not just the game itself, but the packaging and the marketing and all the things around games. It just felt really big to me. So that's how I got in. That's why I've stayed in, frankly, because of the scale and the impact you can have on so many people. Positive impact.
Yeah, that's great. When you made the decision to move to California, was that with the entertainment industry in mind, or was there other?
I mean, I'd like to say yes. I don't really remember. I moved first with five of my friends. We moved to San Diego, and I tended bar and surfed for like 2 years, sort of, and brooded, right? I was sort of brooding, like, what am I gonna do? And I think for me, California overall, the state sort of represented, or the West Coast sort of represented opportunity in terms of entertainment as a bigger, movies, all that kind of stuff. And so for me, I didn't come out here thinking I'm going to work for games. I just came out here thinking there's a lot more to do here than the East Coast. And I didn't want to live in New York. I was tired of winters. So
I
here
love
I am,
that.
still
Yeah.
here
California's the best
many, many
place to
years
be.
later. Yeah.
Yes, yes. If you don't want winter, we've got that.
Yeah.
And when you look back, between then and now, what do you think most shaped, or what moments along the way kind of most shaped how you're approaching what you do today?
That's a good question. I was a bartender for a long time through college and then after college. And even when I started at Sega, I was still doing like weekend nights at a bar. And I think that kind of is sort of a hint to my skill set and what I do in this business now, which is relationship based. Like I really liked bars because I was meeting all these different people. I was giving them something they wanted, but I was sort of able to interact with people, many different types of people in a sort of relaxed atmosphere. People wanted to be there. They're having a couple of cocktails. Everybody's usually generally, pretty mellow and open to conversation. I just really like that. And I think that has transferred into what I do best, which is strategic partnerships and really relationships. I mean, this business is based on relationships at the end of the day. Like most of the people that I started in when I started 30 years ago, a lot of them are still in the business. Many of them are founders, presidents, SVP, whatever. They're at higher levels now, but we all started at the same time, and we're all in it still because we enjoy each other and we enjoy this business based in relationships.
That's great. It's fun to kind of grow alongside your
Yeah,
colleagues. That's
really is.
really, yeah. Now that we've looked a little bit into your background, I'd love to jump into kind of some of these core insights. So, you've worked in multiple areas in relation to growth in gaming, and how do you define success outside of just revenue?
Yeah, revenue is sort of a lagging indicator, right? Of course, you want revenue, and revenue is what we all live off of, right? So we pay our mortgages. But I think, especially now, I'd say it's ecosystem and sentiment, like game sentiment. And then, the ecosystem broadly is community and sort of player longevity, right? So if you've got, think of all the big games, regardless of the platform, big successful games that continue to create revenue and all have strong communities. They all have, for player sentiments high. Like I'm thinking about the Supercell games, thinking about Monopoly Go. I'm thinking about games, Roblox and many of the games that are the biggest games you think that come to mind. Most of them are because they have huge communities, and you know, I would say that in those examples, the player generally, I think the player feels that they're respected, that the time and the effort and the money that they're spending in the game is respected. And I think that should always take that should be the first thing you think about versus how do I make money, right? If you're just in it for the money, you're probably not in the right business.
I love that. It's kind of making those players feel seen and, that the experience is with them in mind.
Yeah, I mean, without players, what do you got?
Yeah,
That's always the biggest challenge, right? It's being able to listen to your players um, and being able to filter and understand what your players are asking for. It's hard to do, especially for live games. I mean, most everything is a live, quote unquote, live game now, and it depends on people coming back and playing over and over and over and building a habit around that and feeling good about doing that. So it's a big responsibility and it's a hard thing to do.
definitely to kind of make that cult following. In terms of kind of this user acquisition and what you've seen at multiple gaming companies, what do you think is the thing that separates the teams that are successful with that user acquisition or the ones that struggle? Is there any one thing you've noticed across these different teams you've worked with?
It's a good question. You know, maybe I think struggling teams. So number one, a game has to be good, and for a game to be good, the team needs to be aligned. The team needs to like each other, and the team can be all over the place. They can be globally dispersed. They all have to have the same sort of attitude about what they're trying to do. So I think that's number one. Like I've seen big teams fail because there are flies in the ointment, right? Like there are things that just aren't working. And I've also seen those not work because those conflicts or those problems aren't addressed immediately and quickly because it's too hard, because conflict's hard sometimes, and people are creative, and blah 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 blah, and it can lead to really dysfunction. So I'd say that first thing is have a strong team, hopefully a small team. The bigger the team, the hard, the more problems. Um, I'd say, treating monetization as a feature, not an afterthought, like thinking about actually, why is somebody going to spend time? Why does somebody want to actually spend money on this or do this thing that we're asking them to do? All that kind of stuff contributes. And then I'll tell you the big one too for me is there are people in the business that are very data driven, and once a game leans into the data-driven landscape, it's hard to recover. So if you got a game and you have a data-driven mindset that is prevailing, in my view, I think that's a problem because games aren't supposed to be data-driven. They're supposed to be fun. And data is definitely it's great. Data matters. It's important to have, but it can't be the number one contributing factor to what you're doing in a game. Just can't.
I like that. Kind of remembering the always returning back to the point, the true point of a game is to be fun. That's very
Yeah,
special.
like if you think about what Disney's done really well, like if you think about how Disney got their content, their game, their movies, and their content, and what they did, do you think that Disney ever thought for a minute like, I'm going to do this because I want to make a bunch of money? Nope, he didn't. He did it because he wanted to tell these great stories, because he wanted to entertain a lot of people, right? He didn't say, I'm going to go make $1 billion. He said, I have this great story to tell. How do we do this? Like, how do we make animated? Like, nobody had made an animated film at that point. They made a full-length animated film back in the 40s, and they did that, right? And he didn't do it because he wanted to make a lot of money. He did it because he wanted to tell a story. So
I love it. Yeah, I'm remembering what Fantasia was
exactly.
like the craziest thing I had ever
Yeah,
seen.
yeah, amazing, right? And that hadn't those type of movies. Nobody was doing that.
Right. It's so unique and so creative. Oh my gosh.
And I'm sure if he had depended on data, if somebody, the data would have said, well, nobody does that, so it's not, nobody's going to go see that. A cartoon in a movie theater, nobody's going to do that. Well,
Mhm.
if I listened to data, we probably wouldn't have had Disney.
I love that. That's a great
Question.
example. Go ahead.
Yeah, I want to kind of go back to the player longevity, loyalty kind of moment that we were talking about a little while ago. I read an article recently, and they were talking about how, there was this time when everybody was playing games based on App Store, free games here, free games there, and then kind of upgrading them to an actual user or a player. And then you have the players who are loyal to a specific game and are spending hours and hours and hours. So in this article, they talked about what's happening is there's a little bit of a drop off in these mobile new users, right? This whole user acquisition thing is slowing down, and now we have to put more focus back on our engaged players.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts around that? I mean, there's been some attrition in the industry too. What do you think?
I think it's honestly, I think it is attention. There's so many things out there that are taking attention away, right? Like there's so many things for me to choose from to do with my time. And short form video, all the way that I have a 16-year-old, the way that she consumes content, the way that she thinks about her day is so much different than what I did as a kid. And I get that I'm a lot older than her, but even different than 10 years or 5 years ago, because they have so many choices in how they learn and how they can do what they can do with their time, right? And so if why do I want to go and play a game on my PlayStation 5, which means I have to carve out time, I have to sit down, I have to be very sort of like determined to do that, right? It's like I plan to do that, where I can just pop on my phone on the bus to school and watch my favorite influencer talk about something, or I can pop onto my game, and I can pop onto Brawl Stars or whatever it is and play for 5 seconds. Like all these choices are out there. So I think that is a big contributor to why it's harder now to get people to spend time in a game. It's much harder now to launch a new game. Like again, all these titles, all these games that have been there for a long time, regardless of platform, they're all leading that because they're hobbies, they're habits, right? Like they are forever a forever hobby or a forever habit for players. Whereas if what am I going to do with my time? What do I want to download? Who knows, man? How do I discover anything? Like there's so much stuff out there for me. Like I go on the App Store and like I have no idea like what I want to play. Like I go on the Steam store, same thing, PlayStation store, all of them. They're just tons and tons of choices. So I think what that's doing is just sort of it's it's creating a situation where people are either not doing it all because they get frustrated, or they're going to their core, what they've always played.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah,
I
that makes
love
a lot
that.
of sense. Yeah. You mentioned like Sega and all of those titles like Sonic the Hedgehog. And yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, automatically there's an emotion attached to it. And
yeah,
that's where I want to be.
it's sentimental, right? And like
Yeah.
they're able to, if you've been playing Clash of Clans for 10 years, and another game comes out, why do I want to go play that? I know Clash of Clans. It's something I know. It's something I do. I'm not saying that everybody wants to play Clash of Clans, but they focus on a very specific player there, because they know that these people have created a habit around it. They want them to be happy. They want them to come back, right? They're not so worried about getting 20,000 new players for that game. They're more worried about keeping the ones they have engaged.
Yeah, and
Absolutely.
games like Clash of Clans too, right? You're not just playing it, but you're like investing in it, even
Oh,
financially,
100%.
right? So
Investing
yeah,
investing money, but investing time,
right.
resources. Like what
Hard to
resources
walk
we have?
away.
We have time and money.
Yeah.
That's our two resources, right? So like
Hmm.
we wake up every day and we think about, how are we going to spend our resources? What am I going to do with my time today?
Hmm.
Right? That's our biggest resource. It's time. We all only have so much time, right? Money is, you get more money, you have some money, but time is the big
Hmm.
one. And like I
Yeah.
see it all the time with my kids. She's like, today am I going to go play, do I want to go play softball, or do I want to do this other thing? She's always like, trying to figure out like how to spend her time. That's
Hmm.
the most valuable resource.
I
Great.
love that.
Yeah, agreed.
Last question from me. So, as we kind of look ahead into the future, in your opinion, what trends in gaming and entertainment are you most excited about? How do you feel about AI as a part of that in the future of gaming and the industry as a whole?
Yeah, I told you guys before we started recording, for me, for AI, like it is. So personally, for AI, I think, like I was telling you, like the fact that I have an AI note taker on all my calls now is amazing. Like to me, like that is like, I know it's very sort of pedestrian, but it's like, wow, I can do a call. I have calls with folks all over the world, right? And like in the old days, I'm trying to scribble down notes as I'm talking. Now I can just talk and I get a full AI, like, here's all your notes, here's what was said, blah, blah, blah. It's amazing. Like amazing, because then what you do from that, they can turn it into action items, right? So
Mhm.
for me, like AI as a tool, just for a productivity tool, amazing. Like it is making, for an older guy like me, it's really helpful to just have some, it's like having an assistant, right? Like somebody that
Mhm.
is doing all this stuff, which I've never had an assistant my entire life, my entire career. So that's fully me. And in a broader sense, for like AI and games and entertainment, um, I think it's I think it's interesting. I think it's certainly going to affect production, and a lot of the things that are that can be that can be like put into a process, right? Like what I don't think it's going to do is replace human touch and creativity, and the things that you can all, I don't know if you guys see, I see stuff all the time. I immediately know it's AI. Like if I see something that's a 30-second spot, I can tell if it's AI. I can tell if it's something that's not real. And
Mhm.
I think AI as a tool is going to be really useful going forward. It already is. I think it's going to continue to affect the entertainment industry and create a process, but I don't think we'll ever replace. I don't think there's ever going to be a game. There may be games, so I don't think they're going to be all that fun or that successful, that is completely, built by AI. I'm sure it will happen, but I don't think those are going to take over the world. I think
Mhm.
it's always going to be, um, if we use as a tool and use properly, I think it will be very useful, but I don't think it will take over the world.
Yeah, I like that. Definitely makes sense. I think we're very far away from, hopefully, from world domination.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, God, I am fascinated by the tool and what it can do. And I'm fat. It's very, very helpful as I said, about for processing, for productivity kind of stuff, for like making things that you used to have to grind out, that would take, a long time. Even things like proposals and just, basic stuff
Yeah.
like decks and like organizing thoughts around how to put together, a 14-page deck on something like that kind of stuff. It simplifies and shortens all that. Really great. It's great for writing emails sometimes, not, I mean, sometimes if you have to be specific. But it's not, in my view, I don't think it's great at making creative decisions. I don't think it's great at writing storylines. I don't think and maybe it will be one day, but I can't imagine it. I just can't imagine it will be.
Yeah,
Well,
that
I
makes
think
sense. Sorry, go ahead, Steph.
no, I was just gonna say, I think part of that, right, is that AI is able to answer or come up with these things or create things based on what already exists, right?
Yeah,
And
for sure.
so,
Yeah.
you know, that's that's the key part that humans can bring in is creating something that's not in existence yet,
Yep.
right? So,
I think that's right. That's a really good point.
yeah,
It's a great tool. I just
yeah,
hope that that's what I hope that it exists and is used as a tool and is not used as some kind of, idea generating, machine,
mhm,
because I think that's when things will get sketchy.
yeah,
If it's making decisions, right? We
mhm,
Across the board, if it's making decisions, um, I think that's probably a bad idea. I don't think AI should be making decisions.
right.
Yeah, on our side, we always stress the importance of humans in the loop. So I
Yeah,
continue to believe that strongly.
yeah, yeah. I do too. I mean,
Excellent.
look. There's a lot more smarter people than me talking about AI and doing things with AI. So, I certainly could be wrong, but I do. It kind of, if you think back to the late '90s when the internet was, everybody was talking about how the internet's going to blow everything up and it's going to be terrible and it's all these things, and then year 2000 it's going to shut everything down. Everything, none of that happened, right? There's a lot of sort of dramatizing things, and I think there's some drama around AI right now that we're catching. A lot of it's drama. A lot of it's like creating a lot of sort of stress around something that maybe isn't as stressful as they make it out to be.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that. Let's go ahead and jump right into those rapid fire questions now. So,
Okay.
as Tony mentioned earlier, the design to be kind of quick question, quick answer, but feel free to elaborate. A lot of our guests like to add
Yeah.
details to their answers, so feel free to do that.
Yeah.
First one, favorite video game or gaming memory?
Favorite video game for sure is Galaga for me. That was like, I still, when I go to, anytime I see like an arcade or a bar that has Galaga, I'll spend like 30 minutes on there trying to get, I love that game to this day. I love that big console that you can smash around, and that's my favorite game. And I have lots and lots of memories of that. And then through time, like for me, and I really liked Team Fortress 2. That's when I really got to understand the, the whole idea of multiplayer and like how powerful it is to be able to play with other people and against other people. So those are two big ones for me.
Very cool. I thought you were going to say Sonic. I mean, there was that attachment to the
Yeah.
costume and
No, I
the,
mean,
the guerrilla
Sonic.
marketing.
Yeah, yeah. No, I mean, that was my first job in games, was at Sega, and it was at the height of Sonic. And Sonic, I never loved that game. I never loved that style of game,
Ah,
platformer game. That wasn't really my thing. Um, so yeah, I probably should mention it in terms of like, obviously it's Sonic and they're still making movies and Sonic's cool and stuff,
yeah.
but I don't think I'd categorize that as a major, other than my first career, and being in love with games. I never liked the game itself, which, oh well. There's plenty of people like that game.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It was more to catch their attention
Yeah,
than for your own personal
for sure.
excitement. All right, next question. One tool or technology you can't live without.
Unfortunately, my phone. I mean, yeah, I thought about this question when you guys sent it. It's like, it's my phone.
Yeah, I think a lot of people would agree with you.
I wish it wasn't, and I'm constantly asking my daughter to not be on her phone, but this thing, I mean, the fact that we call it a phone is kind of ridiculous. Like, that's probably the last thing we use it for now, like the least thing we use it for. Like, when do you ever do calls? It's either text or anything else that you use it for. But
So true.
pretty important
True.
piece of hardware.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Biggest trend in gaming or AI that excites you?
Ah, honestly, maybe generative AI is a tool for democratizing creativity. So, like, the idea that a small team can like get process through a game idea more quickly, right? Like, like, if you've got an idea for a game, you can create things as a small team in shorter amount of time versus I need 25 people and $8 million to do this. Well, I can do it with 3 people and $200,000 maybe. Like that kind of stuff I think is really interesting. I don't think, again, like, I'm not saying that I want AI to create the idea, but the productivity behind it I think is exciting.
Yeah, yeah, definitely kind of brainstorming, setting the stage for
Yeah.
what you're doing in the future.
And iterating through
Yeah,
ideas and things like that, I think is also a place where that can be really helpful.
yeah, absolutely. All right, what's one skill gaming professionals will need much more of in the next 3 to 5 years?
I think I was talking about this today with some of my colleagues. Um, I think in person, within the industry, like in person meetings with actual people are something that has kind of I mean, with COVID, with work from home, and a lot of things that have sort of happened over the last 5, 6, 7 years, it kind of I think we're missing a little bit of the human contact. And I think my whole career has been built on relationships and about relating with people and sort of aligning on goals, right? Like working with people that we all want this thing together. And I think that is hard to do if you're only doing it on calls digitally from your home across, throughout the world. So I think it'd be nice to have more events and more opportunities to interact with people and like real, right? Not like we're doing now, but actually in a room, right? Like actually at an office, that kind of thing. That being said, I don't think we should all go back to the office and work, but I think there are more events and more opportunities that we could use, be helpful for the business. So, as an answer to your question, one skill, I think it's relationships. Like, build those relationships and treat people the way you want to be treated. Right. I always think about anybody I'm speaking with across my life, but definitely my career, is as a partner. I never think, like, when I started in this business, people would call them vendors or whatever. I was like, that's like, why? It seems so derogatory to me, and it seems like that that person that's working with you, working that you've hired to do something, they want to be successful too. They want enjoyment. They want to feel fulfilled. They're part of the team. So treat people the way you want to be treated. Think of anybody you're working with as a partner. Nobody's better than you. We're all trying to do the same thing. We all want to do great work.
I love that. Very relationship driven,
Yep.
human centered skills. Yeah, I love it. All right, last question from me. If you weren't working in gaming and entertainment, what would you be doing? Could be anything.
I have no idea. I'll tell you what else I do. I'm a painter, so I paint.
Ooh.
I enjoy property management. I have a couple of properties that I manage. So I like solving problems, I guess. And again, like partnerships, right? And relationships, things that my paintings are something, an expression I put out there when somebody likes it or wants my painting, it makes me feel good. It makes them feel good. When, I have a problem at a property and I can fix that problem, it makes that person that's at the property feel good, it makes me feel good. So, I think that's what I'd be doing, more of the things that I already do.
Very good. Yeah, where can we find your art? That's really interesting. I didn't know that about
Uh,
you.
SuttonTrout.com.
Suttontrout.com.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you focus on like figures, like human figures or
I paint. I just
landscapes?
paint whatever I feel like painting, to be honest. So I paint oil. I draw sometimes. I mainly paint. And I just it's one of my biggest challenges because a lot of folks have told me like you should have a show, and then I talk to people about shows and like, well, you need a body of work, and then you talk to other artists like, yeah, body of work has to be if you paint barns and you have a body of work of barns. I'm like, well, I don't really do that. I just like to paint what I like to paint. So
I
right
think,
now I don't worry about it. I just do what the hell I want.
Yeah, there you go.
I think that's what you got to do with art is just whatever you want. So
Yeah,
even
I
if
mean, I'm looking
even
over
if it's
here. I'm looking over here, and there's a painting. I'm doing this painting of Superman. And
oh,
then next to it, I'm doing this painting of a piece of art I saw in London on the side of a building that just says London, but it's in stacked letters. So I did that, and like it's just whatever. I just do what I feel like
I
yes,
love
I
that.
love that.
Very cool.
as you should.
Yes, yes, be free.
doing. Yeah,
Well, Sutton, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I think your perspective on growth, partnerships, building and leading successful teams in the gaming and entertainment industry, um, really highlight how, strategic thinking and execution can come together to make lasting impact. So we're really grateful that you were able to join us today and share some of those insights.
can I say one more thing? Thank you.
Yes, yes.
Let me say one more thing about like you hear strategy. Um, it's often used, right? You hear people talk about strategy, and I'm a strategic this and strategy that, and I think a lot of people think about strategy in a lot of different ways. In my mind, I think strategy again is about it starts with having a goal, identifying who you want to partner with to get that goal, and then laying out a plan to get there. But as you know, no plans ever go, almost never go the way they're supposed to, right? So strategic thinking and strategy has a lot of open space in it, right? Like there's no like silver bullet, like 1, 2, 3, and then you've got this successful thing because you followed the strategic plan. It's more like we have this plan and you kind of go there, right? And you get there this way, and maybe you go over here and you go over there. And along the way, you're gathering people that are going to help you do that. And so I don't know. Like for me, I always think of strategic thinking and strategy as like it's not just it's a group of people, it's a community, it's a collaborative effort. It's a collaborative effort.
I like that. Kind of like linking arms with the people
Yeah.
around you. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah. Then
wonderful.
you mentioned teams and stuff, and that's exactly what it is. It's a collaborative effort. Nobody's out there doing anything by themselves.
Mhm.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for coming on. I think it was a great conversation.
Me too. I appreciate you guys.
Yes,
Thank you.
Thank
you
you. This was
so much.
great.
Um, just real quick for our audience, if you enjoyed this episode, you can find Game Changers, the Future of Play on Spotify, YouTube, and at our website, sukuraqs.ai. We'll include the details in the caption. Thank you again, Sutton.
Thank you guys. Appreciate it. Have a great
Thank you,
day.
Sutton. You too.
Okay.